if you get told that you're different, if you've always been told that you're different, it's a good thing. Different is good. Different means change. Different means revolutionary. Hi guys, welcome back to Elevate Your Vibe with Clare, where basic is not an option. So today, as you can see by the title, we're going to be talking about Elphaba from the famous Wicked movie. What made Elphaba so powerful, besides the fact that she is a witch, which I do not condone because we serve Christ over here, but each to their own. But today I'm really going to delve deep into the character of Elphaba because there's a lot we can learn from her. Okay, so first things first, she was different. And she was truly a unique individual since birth. As we see in the Wicked movie part 1, she is rejected from birth, from her family, friends. As the movie progresses, we're able to see how the trials of her life caused her to be resilient. Even though initially she didn't recognize her power, we see how in the movie she still stood up for the helpless, kept her guard up, but not in a defensive way, but in a strategic way. So Elphaba was really good at self-preservation, so she really mastered the art of self-preservation. So she didn't overly try to compensate for the lack of love, the lack of support in her life. So when she finds her power towards the end of the movie, there's a scene where she jumps off a balcony when she was being chased by the guards, and she jumps with her broom, but instead of flying, she's just falling. And when she looks ahead of her, her inner child is falling with her. So then she puts her hand out to grab the hand of the inner child, and then it turns into the broom, and then she's able to fly. The broom was a representation of the power that was already in her. She was always powerful since she was a child, so when she got that version of her, she was able to reclaim her power, which I think was so profound and very powerful, seeing that she basically found the power in her that was always there, and therefore she embraced her uniqueness as a strength, and she was literally known as the green girl that nobody wanted around. She gets to the end of the movie, she becomes this absolute icon. Her skin was seen as a big flaw in everybody else's eyes, but it actually set her apart and it did isolate her. We get to the ending scene of Defying Gravity. She's like, you know what, I'm done hiding. This is who I am, and if you can't handle me, that's your problem. And I think that's an attitude that we all need to be able to adapt to. The people pleasing, the caring about what other people think, it has to stop, and we have to just be able to step into our power, because you know what, they're gonna hate you regardless. They're gonna hate you whether you're people pleasing, they're gonna hate you whether you're standing on your own 2 feet and not relying on them. And really and truly, when people are hating on you because of your differences or flaws, as some may say, really and truly it's because it's power, and people don't like what they don't understand. So just because someone doesn't necessarily understand you or understand your strength or understand your difference does not make it a bad thing. It just makes you different. Angelina Jolie has also said that if you get told that you're different, if you've always been told that you're different, it's a good thing. Different is good. Different means change. Different means revolutionary. Different means visionary. So number 2, she challenged corruption and injustice. So Elphaba's power also stems from her unwavering moral compass. So she refused to be complicit in the whole wizards regime, which exploits and dehumanizes others. So her willingness to stand alone against corruption, even when it led to her being villainized. So we see how the wizard and Madame Morrible, they wanted to get rid of the animals and get rid of their rights. She just taken the animals, taking them out of their jobs, basically saying they don't have a right to exist. And we see Elphaba actually has the moral compass or the strength to stand up and say this is wrong. Like there's a scene where they're in a classroom and they literally come and arrest the great professor, and Elphaba's like, are we just gonna sit around and stand here and just watch this happen? And no one said a thing. And I think that is so relatable, where it can relate to your friendships, family life, whatever, where it's like you're the only one that sees the right or the patterns of toxicity, whatever it is. And she literally stood up and said, is no one gonna interfere? Is no one gonna? And then no one responded. So obviously she sat down, she was angry, because at that point she didn't really understand her power fully, but she still expressed the injustice that she saw that was going on. So she demonstrated her integrity and her inner strength. She goes against the whole abiding by the rules, and she rejects the easy paths, and she fights what she believes in. It's a symbol of resistance and a beacon of hope for others who are marginalized by the system. So she's able to empathize or sympathize with the animals, and in turn literally risk it all just to save them or help them. Elphaba could have easily played the game. She could have easily stayed quiet like everyone else, like Glinda, that's her best friend in the Wicked movie, and become the wizard's golden girl, because she met the wizard loved her, they bonded instantly. Like, it was her dream since she was a child to literally go meet the wizard, live with the wizard. He even offered to let her live there, but when she found out about the schemes he had and the schemes that were going on regarding the animals, she said, nope, I'm not about that. Like, she took a stand against the whole system, guys. Like, imagine the whole system that was hurting people, especially the animals. And here's the kicker, she knew it would cost her reputation, her safety, and even her relationships, but she did it anyway. And that is so powerful when you know what you're fighting for is right and you're the only one who believes it. And I don't know about you guys, but I can relate in that in so many ways. That's where the real power is, because she did what was right, even if she was the only one that was fighting for it, or the only one that stood in that truth. Even though it was the hardest thing to do, she did that. And that was one of the things that made her so powerful. And she was able to find the power that was always in her as well. So I think we should really think about how often do we compromise ourselves just to fit in. Like, Elphaba reminds us that sometimes standing alone is the most powerful thing you can do. And in the moment it may feel like scary, it may be tough, but you will reap the rewards. Okay, number 3 of what turned Elphaba from an outcast to an icon. She reclaimed her narrative. So, despite being branded the Wicked Witch towards the end of the movie, Elphaba reclaims the story by owning the narrative thrust upon her by the wizard and Madame Morrible. She recognises that societal labels are often tools to suppress those who challenge the status quo. So instead of seeking validation from the world that refused to understand her, she leans into the role as an outsider, which in turn she transformed into a legend on her own term. The face of rejection turns her from an outcast into an icon who inspires others to find their voice and defy limitations. So even though everyone was calling her wicked, they were saying that she was horrible. Her skin, like her green skin, was a reflection of the twisted nature of her internal world. Even though all of this was being said, like, she stood there and listened to all of this. And there's a scene where Glinda's like, oh, you can still be with the wizard, just say you're sorry, like, don't be afraid. And then she was like, I'm not afraid, it's the wizard that should be afraid of me. And you can really see how she reclaimed and repainted that narrative, because even though they were trying to make her seem helpless, horrible, wicked, she turned that around and said, you know what, I'm still standing for what's right, and I'm going to use my power for good. Even if the whole world doesn't see it, I know I'm right, I'm standing in my truth. And sometimes that means even your friend, because Glinda was literally the closest person, the only person that ever stood by her, and she still didn't understand where Elphaba was coming from, and therefore when Elphaba had to go, she couldn't go with her. And that just shows you that when you're a chosen one, when you're made for greatness, you most likely are going to be riding that path alone. And that's okay, because well-behaved women never made history, and no one made a difference by being like everyone else, okay? So I think that really helps. The story is one of rising above prejudice, fighting for justice, and finding strength in solitude, which made her into a powerful woman who transcends all circumstances and becomes a symbol of empowerment. So she became a symbol for all those that feel misunderstood, who feel unseen, outcast, who feels like an outcast, whether it's by family, friends, literally anyone. It's just so profound how she just finally took all of that pain, all of that rejection that she faced her whole life, and she was able to become an amazing woman, not even just because of the power she had, the actual magic power, but the strength, the resilience. And the ironic thing about all of that, even though she was able to do all these amazing things, be this amazing person, she was literally branded the Wicked Witch, which is, no pun intended, which is so common in society. When you're the one person in your family, the one person in your friendship group that wants to stand up, that wants to rise above, that wants to be different, that wants to choose a different path, whether it's in your career, whatever it is, you'll usually be labelled as wicked, as rebellious, as whatever, disrespectful, whatever it is. People will try to put these labels on you to control you, to dim your light, to discourage you, to make you feel like you're powerless. But you need to stand in your truth and don't let the projections of other people taint your mission. And she was labelled the Wicked Witch not only because she was actually wicked, but just because she challenged a system that was flawed, a system that was wrong, that was clearly wrong, but nobody had the guts, nobody had the will to stand against that system except for her. And instead of trying to prove everyone wrong, she said, you know what? You want me to be the villain? Fine. I'm the villain. Like, you want me to be the bad guy? Fine. Now I'm the bad guy. Like, she said I'll be the villain then. But she owns it, and she doesn't let the labels define her. By leaning into her story, she literally transforms herself into a legend. In conclusion, Wicked is not just a musical or, it's a life lesson. You can learn a lot from Elphaba's character. And that's literally one reason why I literally was bawling my eyes out, guys. But the whole movie, I was bawling my eyes out because Elphaba's character was just so relatable. The things that make you different are your superpowers. And Elphaba teaches us that the things that make us stand out are literally the very things that will lift us up. Like, literally. No pun intended. So yeah, Elphaba's journey teaches us that the world doesn't get to decide who we are, we do. And she goes from being an outsider who's mocked to an icon who is literally unstoppable. And all because she refused to let the world break her. So what can we learn from Elphaba? Embrace what makes you different, fight for what's right, and never let anyone else tell your story. Whether you're defying gravity or you're defying the haters, just remember, you're more powerful than you think. And thanks for watching, guys. If you're as obsessed with Wicked as I am, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know your favourite Elphaba moment in the comments below. Until next time, bye.